everyone, to a special edition of your WCPO High School Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Dyer, here at the Sharonville Convention Center for the Greater Miami Conference National Football Signing Day. Pleased to be joined by my colleague, as always, Keenan Singleton. Keenan, how are you?
I'm great, Mike. Thank you for having me. Great to be back on this fantastic day, celebrating a lot of great high school careers going on in college.
First guest of the day here, Princeton head football coach Mike Daniels. Mike, how are you?
Doing wonderful. Thank you for having me as well. It's like I say it every year, but this is a special event. Being able to just be a head coach, but also be a student athlete participating in this event. It's a great event. I love it, and so I enjoy today.
Great. And first things first here, we want to take an opportunity to thank our sponsor, Chick-fil-A, and all our Cincinnati area Chick-fil-A restaurants. This High School Insider Podcast is presented by our local Chick-fil-A restaurants, where the winning play is always chicken. Download or log into the app for free chicken in February. And as we mentioned before, here at the Sharonville Convention Center for the second straight year for this special GMC National Signing Day ceremony. Going to have a lot of teams and players here kind of fill in the room as we get going. A special program starts at 1 p.m., but we're hoping to talk to each of the 10 conference school coaches here just in a little bit. And we're starting off with Coach Daniels. And Coach, 12 signees for the Princeton Vikings. That is a conference mark here for this year's signing class, obviously in the 2020 class, and 3 of those have already enrolled early. But what's your biggest takeaway from this group of special players from this class?
Well, very rarely do you get a group of talented kids at this level, and so we're going to miss them, and we're blessed. But you know, our mission statement is to get kids to school. And that's kind of what we do, and we're proud of that. And because when you look back and look at some of the kids we deal with, this is make or break for them in terms of where they're going in their future. So we work hard at it, and you know, we push it, and we're blessed to be able to provide those opportunities for these young men, the ones that come in and do things the right way. They have their opportunities. So very proud of our kids, very proud that they'll have a chance to better their lives and then get further educated and play this great game of football.
Vikings made the postseason for the first time since 2007, obviously this past year. Keenan, I know you've done a lot with the Princeton program. Obviously, Hypeville High, yeah. Excellent docuseries that WCPO produced, led by your excellent leadership there and talking to Coach Daniels and formulating that plan for this past preseason. But tell me a little bit about that how that program kind of came about and maybe your impressions of the Vikings watching them this year.
Yeah, looking at the names on this list, I'm so proud of all these guys that have gone on. I mean, not just the headline guys, Paris and Darion, and obviously, but one of my favorite kids was Christian Kilgis Dixon. He was, little undersized linebacker, but a dude that was always had his head in everything, and just a great leader for this team, a great leader for this program. So it's great to see him going. James Price, who was a running back in this program, who had a little trouble with the rap skit at the talent show that night, but he was a great kid as well. Kevin Suttles, who overcame several issues,
Absolutely.
As far as grades and stuff early on in his high school career. So I'm very happy to see these guys who I got a chance to know at the pool, at practice, at the talent show, on the basketball court, cats getting dunked on. It was a fantastic series to be a part of.
Well, Mike, tell us a little bit about some of these guys. Obviously, we mentioned, everybody knows, Paris Johnson, Darion Henry, already up at Columbus, at Ohio State, enrolled early. My Jaden Horton is up at the University of Akron, enrolled early. But tell us maybe some other guys and where they're going today, and maybe how proud you are of their accomplishments.
Absolutely. So Dorian Durham is a kid who came in reserve in terms of a quarterback position and came in and won us a couple games, and he's a kid who is going to Urbana, and he's going to play wide receiver there. But I'm just proud of him for just kind of staying the course. Obviously, he wanted to be the starter and was beat out, and but he kept fighting. Was a talented kid, and things came and good for him. And so he was able to go and get some scholarship money to go play Division II football. And so he'll be up the road with some of our. We got kind of a pipeline up to Urbana that's been good for us the last couple of years. And so he'll be able to go up there and play some ball. And then the other kid is Vincent Mullen Jr. He is a kid that is straight laced. He is raised right, a God-fearing young man who does it all the right way. He's a kid that goes from football to wrestling to track.
Talented artist too.
Oh, very talented. He can sing, he can dance. He's kind of the Renaissance man. He kind of do a little bit of everything, but very respectful. Sharp young man. He was raised really well, and so he's a kid who is. I mean, he turned 17 mid-season, and so he's going to Eastern Kentucky.
They got a steal.
They got a great one. I mean, his frame and how strong he's going to be. He'll when they put that weight on him, he'll be as good of a tackle as you can be. And obviously, I wish I did have him another year, just him being so young. But I'm proud of him because he does it the right way. He was a captain. He was a kid that through adversity, he was just able to just keep turning and keep going. And so I'm very proud of that young man.
Elisha Eberhardt was one of the stars of the Hyattville High series. I mean, anytime a camera was around, he seemed to find it. He seemed to put his face in front of that camera.
Yeah.
He's going to Bowling Green. He was a guy who dealt with some injury issues, but he seems like a very talented kid who also Bowling Green getting a steal as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when you hear experts talk or people to talk, they say when it comes to a cornerback position, it's usually that second year for kids that when they would be back at the peak. But he's a kid coming off an ACL, and I was proud of him just staying the course because it really crushed him because he was on the same trajectory as Darion and Jaheim, and so he was he kind of fell back and but at the same time it forced him to grit his teeth a little bit and he humbled him a little bit, and so now he's in a situation where he's going to a school right up the road where he can be close to his family, go play Division I football, and then have a chance to go compete early in his playing career. So kudos to him. It's a good opportunity, and again, he's going to school for free. He's going to play Division I football, and that's a blessing in itself.
Still won't forget the video that Jaheim Thomas had when he committed to the University of Cincinnati, a place obviously near and dear to your heart there in Clifton. What do you think about Jaheim going to the Bearcats?
Phenomenal fit for him. Phenomenal fit. And, he was going back and forth, late in the game. Okay, do I sign with Cincy? Do I entertain a Michigan State per se? And I thought Cincinnati was a great fit for him. Just the schooling, what they asked him to do in terms of schematics, him defensively, he fits their jack, their rush in really well. And so I had a phenomenal experience at UC. It grew me, and so for him it's even better of a place than when I went there. So I think he'll do really well there, and I'm excited for him because I thought it was a great fit. No matter what, he's close to his family. They can come and be a part of his experience. His brother's on the team, and so for him it was a great place, and I'm glad he chose it. And as you look at the things that they're doing from a recruiting standpoint, they're knocking it out the park with their recruits. So I'm excited for him. I'm excited for the Bearcats. Obviously, that's my alma mater. So I'm a little biased for that place. So.
Juan Jared, another athlete that you guys had on that defensive side of the ball. I actually saw him play a little receiver during some of those summer practices. He might not have had the technique down, but he had the athleticism. He was a one-time Kansas commit, now going to University of Akron with his best friend, Mike Jaden. How do you see those two being able to perform?
It was the perfect scenario for them both, and I think for Juan, he's went through so much adversity in his life and just dealing with so many different things, and so for him to be able to get some news in terms of what Kansas needing to go a different direction, but you look at him and the whole goal was, again, for a kid to be able to go to school for free and be able to go experience something in life. And so for Juan, he gets to go do that in the state of Ohio, where he can have some support. If he needs something, coaches can kind of touch him a little bit more. His parents can touch him a little bit more. And then he gets to go to school with his best friend that he's grown up with for a long time. And so for him, it's a great spot. He'll have some, they'll have a chance, both of them, to go compete at a high level early. And so I think I'm excited for Juan to really get into into a scenario where he doesn't have any distractions other than just balling. And so I think that's going to be a beauty for him. He's got a few things to finish up. He's running track here. He's a phenomenal athlete. So his potential is through the roof. And so I think once he gets into a scenario where he can get coached every day and more particular to his skill set and kind of find his home, continue to put on that weight, he'll have a great future. And so I'm excited for him. It's a great place in terms of being right up the road, Mike. That's your alma mater, the house that Mike Dyer built.
I wish.
So excited for him.
Keenan, you and I have been covering high school football for quite some time now, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if I've seen an area player win the amount of national awards that Paris Johnson did this year.
And not only won them, but deserved them.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I mean, from Sports Illustrated All-American, Max Preps All-American, to playing in the All-American Bowl. I mean, you name it. But I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you how Paris is doing up in Columbus right now.
So he's up to 300 pounds. They have him on some crazy 5,000 calorie diet, but that young man is destined for greatness. And when you talk to him
on the field and off the field,
absolutely,
we should mention.
Absolutely. Yes. And when you talk to him, you hear it just how he was raised and the things that are important to him. Obviously, he is. I mean, since I've met that young man, he's been talking about a 3-year plan and being a first-round draft pick. He's a young man that started a foundation as a junior in high school. So, I mean, he is destined for greatness. And yes, he's deserved all that he's gotten because he works hard and he sacrifices. He's overcome adversity and just grinded it through. And he got what he wanted. So now he's in a position where he'll be able to compete for a spot. Obviously, they have really good players in Columbus and in Ohio State, but that young man is special, and I think Coach Stud being able to put his hands on him and teach him a little bit more in depth to the position, him gaining some weight and getting thicker and stronger. He got one of the best strength coaches in the country with Mickey Marotti, and so he is in a good place. So I'm excited to see what he's going to be, and I bet by the time spring roll around, he'll be 305 pounds, and the goal for him is to be 315 pounds by the time they strap it up in August. So that's you match that with the length and the bend that young man has. I mean, we're talking a 35-inch vertical jump, a 9.5 broad jump. You're talking about a 5.0 shuttle for a kid that's just scratching the surface. And if you look at some of his numbers and then go match it with guys that are at the combine, I mean, he compares first-round numbers today.
Yeah, he's going to be eating a lot of Chick-fil-A between now and then.
Absolutely.
To get up to 315.
Yes.
Hey, before we let you go, Mike, just give us a synopsis maybe of an outlook of your 2020 schedule, maybe some top players. I know you guys have already gotten a lot of strong looks already for this upcoming season.
Absolutely. So we're still looking for a week 1 opponent. That should be done here soon. But week 2, we'll play Loveland, and then you'll play 8 games in the GMC, which I think is the best public league. Well, not just a public league. I think it's one of the best leagues in this region, and you can argue.
Don't downplay it. It is.
Yeah,
absolutely
it is.
In the country.
It is, and top to bottom, and resources and all the things that come along with successful programs. Really good coaching, really good talent. I mean, you look at it, and I mean, 9 of the 10 teams probably have at least 2 kids going Division I. I mean, that's rare for that amount. And so it's been good for a while. A lot of tradition in this league, and so we're excited about that. We got some kids coming back. Leroy Bowers is a safety for us that are. He's having some success in recruiting. And then Thomas Boyd, our running back, he's having some success. Quincy Hughes is a D tackle that we're excited about. He's up to 275 pounds, strong kid that's going to have to go both ways. And then we got a couple other kids that I'm excited to see what they're going to be. D'Angelo Foster is a slot kid that's dynamic with the football. So his role is going to be higher. We got a kid that is that's a linebacker, John Harris, who's all conference. He comes back. So we have some pieces. Obviously, your top end talent is gone, and you'll never replace that level, or at least not no time soon. But with that said, I'm excited to see the next wave. Our JV went 9-1, and our freshman team went 7-2. So I mean, you got some kids coming up the rank that we're excited about. So we're gonna keep charging forward and keep pushing and keep developing young men and keeping the main thing.
Princeton head football coach Mike Daniels, really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it.
Mike, thanks for being here, man. Good to see you again.
Appreciate it.
Anyway, up next, we're going to be talking to Fairfield head coach Jason Crouse here on the special edition of the WCPO High School Insider podcast here at the Sharonville Convention Center.
I see Jason coming along right now. Just to double back onto what Mike was talking about here, how amazing is it that their backup quarterback is signing, a scholarship here today? That's something that just shows the talent that
exactly. Jason, how are you?
I'm great, man. Thanks
Welcome
for having
to the WCPO High School Insider podcast here, and obviously the Indians 10-2 in 2019, a regional semifinalist. Indians captured their first playoff win since the 2000 season, went 9-0 for the first time in program history. And Jason, just talk about National Signing Day and what it represents for your program today.
Always a great event. I was thinking back. I've been in this league a while, looking at the coaches in the league, and going into year 13 in the GMC. So this has been a tremendous event all of those years, and seen a lot of really, really fine football players come through the GMC, and just excited to still be doing this thing and being a part of it. Really appreciate you guys kind of adding an extra level to this thing.
We appreciate you organizing this, obviously, and setting up all the interviews for us. But, a couple guys, obviously, we want to mention, but Jetton Mclean is one of those guys that enrolled early, University of Kentucky. Yes. Tell us how he's doing. I know you connected with him on FaceTime maybe a couple weeks ago. And, how's he adjusting to life in Lexington?
Doing great. He's excited to be there. I think the biggest thing for him is gaining weight. He's already gained, when I talked to him, he said he'd already gained 8 pounds. So, I mean, he's just trying to add some muscle mass to that frame. And
all that Chick-fil-A once again.
Yeah, right. I think he's going to do great things there. And I think it's huge for these guys to be able to mid-year and get down or up wherever they're going to their colleges and get involved in, obviously, the lifting program, the diet program, and get some classes under their belt, and obviously spring ball. So that's huge for the opportunity for those guys to play early. And we've been fortunate, for the last 6 years, we've sent guys early, and all of them have played as true freshmen.
You're a proponent of I know the way that signing day is now kind of broken down. You have the earlier signing day in December. Now you have here in February, the traditional signing day. What are your thoughts on how the things have broken down with that from a high school perspective?
I think it's great for the high school kids, that early signing date. And they all don't go early. We've got 2 guys that did sign early, Sawai and Phoenix, but they'll be here today. They didn't go to school early. And it just kind of depends on the college and what they've got available at the semester break. But the opportunity to go early, I think, is humongous for these guys. You look at Josiah Scott. He's able to go out early and hopefully get his degree done, and that's because he went early. So my son went early, and he's graduated with his bachelor's already. He's got a year to play, and he's in his master's program now. So those are all advantages for our young men.
We've had this conversation time and time again, Jason, but I mean, you mentioned how much pride you take in your program and getting these college scholarships and all this financial assistance for a lot of these players. I mean, how much is that an important facet of what Fairfield football is to you?
Well, I feel like, doing this job for 26 years now, and I feel like it's probably the number one role in my position is to help these young men move on and better themselves and have an opportunity to go to college when some of them might not have that opportunity. The financial help that they receive and their families really kind of changes their life, in my opinion, and gives them opportunities they wouldn't have had. So to me, that's our number one goal. Winning games is great, but I always believe they go hand in hand. If we've got really good players that are going to earn college money, probably going to win some football games.
Talk about some of these other guys, Jason, here on your signing list. It's a long list here on my paper. So
11 guys, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So maybe go into detail on some of the
names. I think obviously Sawai Ellis is a really interesting story. He's a kid that's going to go to Toledo as a defensive back, but at Fairfield he really didn't play defensive back. He played receiver as a sophomore and junior, and then he played quarterback this past year. But I think what teams liked about Sawai was seeing a nice, long, tall athlete, and I think he's got the ability to go do some special things. So he's really interesting, and I think that shows you how recruiting works. Guys don't always play what they played in high school. They might walk in the door and they might be told day one, you're going to go do something else. And they'll do it, obviously if they're on a full ride, and Sawaya's in that position. So he's just excited to be going to Toledo. I don't think he cares where he plays.
A couple of these guys going to Thomas More University, I really like their recruiting philosophy. They hit local. Some of these guys especially these GMC guys that maybe aren't going Division I, because I know that's everyone's dream, but for him to be able to, these couple of guys be able to stay local and play in front of their families, I'm sure is a huge benefit.
Absolutely. I think you can see Thomas More and they're attacking Southwest Ohio. I think they understand the level ball that we play in the GMC. Another school that has done that is Urbana. You'll see a lot of Urbana guys here today, and I think maybe we're like 12, 13 guys in the league that are going to Urbana. And I think kudos to those coaches and really recruiting the GMC hard and getting some kids to go play football in their programs. And I agree with you. I think Thomas More is a program that has made that jump to a scholarship program in the NAIA from Division III a couple of years ago, and they're really hitting the GMC hard.
Tell us about the turning the page on 2019 and getting ready for the 2020 season, how things are looking for the team going into the fall.
It's funny because everybody thinks that this is the time of year you get a little bit of a break, and obviously it's not. We're finishing up this class and guys making their decisions for signing day to day. At the same time, for the last couple of weeks, we've had colleges coming in recruiting that next class, and then obviously being in the weight room and trying to get that class ready to step in and fill the shoes of the guys that are leaving. Really like the class that we've got coming. It's got great leadership. I think the kids are hardworking, and it's kind of led right now by Jaden Mays. He's got some Division I offers, and there'll be some more guys in that class that'll be securing some offers here in the spring, in my opinion.
Would be remiss if I didn't ask you about Jackson Carmen and Malik Van, some of your high-profile guys here in the past couple of years. How are they doing?
Great, tremendous. Just talked to Jackson the other night, probably an hour and a half on a FaceTime while he's polishing his guitar. We just talked about just stuff, just life and how things are going. And I was able to go down to the national championship game. Jackson got myself and our offensive line coach 2 tickets, so we made the trek down there and experienced that. Tremendous experience, and so proud of him for what he's doing, and Malik as well. Malik stopped into school last week. It's funny because Coach Fickle was there in the morning, and we were talking about, have you seen Malik? And I said, well, he usually comes once a week. And literally, Malik showed up about an hour after Coach Fickle left. So I think that's one great thing about Malik Van. He comes back weekly. Honestly, weekly. He's so close, and he just loves being around the coaches, and he's a great influence for our young men, and I think it's tremendous to have him back.
You mentioned Josiah. How's he preparing for the NFL right now?
Really good. I don't know if it's out there yet, but I talked to him, and he's been invited to the combine, and I don't know if the NFL's released that list yet, but
breaking news.
Yeah, he's down in Tampa, and he's working out, and he's getting ready. So he's excited. I've talked to a couple of NFL scouts that have contacted me regarding him and how he was in high school. So I feel really good about where he is, and I think he's excited with the opportunities that are ahead of him and in the professional football world. And I think he's a guy that will succeed no matter where he ends up. If it's there, Canadian League, XFL, whatever's out there, hopefully he ends up getting a call on draft day.
Fairfield head football coach Jason Crouse, really appreciate your time, and best of luck to the Indians. Congrats on all the signees today.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having us.
Thanks, Jason. And we're going to be joined by Hamilton head football coach Nate Mahan up next here on the High School Insider Podcast. I want to remind everybody this High School Insider Podcast is presented by our local Chick-fil-A restaurants, where the winning play is free chicken in February when you download or log in to the Chick-fil-A app. And I know you're going to get that
That's
Chick-fil-A
where I'm headed
app,
for lunch.
Keenan.
I'm going there for lunch. I'm a spicy chicken guy. Sometimes I double it up because I'm a big dude. Sometimes I like to have 2 sandwiches, some fries, and that lemonade. You can't beat that lemonade.
How about that?
Really
Man, you're making me hungry. It's not even noon yet, so we got a ways to go. But I want to welcome in Hamilton head football coach Nate Mahan.
Looking sharp.
Joins us at the table. How are you, Nate?
Nate, good to see you.
Good to see you again. Yes, sir.
Obviously, the Big Blue making their appearance here on National Signing Day, and obviously Hamilton made the playoffs last year, a 5-5 record, and first season back with the Big Blue, 2003 grad, is Coach Mahan, and you got to be awfully proud of what transpired in the 2019 season. Tell us just kind of reflect back a little bit before we get into your signees about this special season for the Big Blue and your first season back at your alma mater.
It was. I think my wife and I looked at each other after the season and as we got closer to Christmas, and it was 365 days of a little bit of madness and some stuff I don't remember, and you just try to take it a week or a day at a time and get through it, because I really didn't get to work at Hamilton the whole time till about middle of June. So I was working a couple of jobs and trying to maintain both and do the best you can, and yeah, it worked out pretty well. We got the kids to buy in, and then to be 5-5, the record's not great, but to win the right 5 and to make the playoffs for the first time in a long, long time, 10 years, was obviously very special. Very proud of that, and really looking to build on that. So I think I enjoyed it for about a month. We didn't come back to lifting a whole lot of nothing until after Christmas break was over with, so that everybody could enjoy it. But it's back to work right now, and we're back in the weight room, and we got a lot of kids in wrestling and basketball, and we're ready to go, ready to build on the success we had last year for sure.
4 signees for the Big Blue today. Tell us about some of these guys: Zach, Nathan, Jaden, and Luke.
Yeah, we celebrated these guys this morning. Zach's our long snapper. It's funny, you forget about those guys, but he's a really good one, and he's going to make Tiffin happy. He's going to make some coaches there happy, because it may be a little less to worry about in the specialist department, right? So Nathan Pratt, he's a big D lineman. He was an all-conference kid for us, played for technique in our odd front defense, and really did a good job. One of the strongest guys on our team. So he's going to Tiffin as well, joining Zach. Jaden Evans played right tackle for us for 2 years. He's a 2-year starter. Big kid, big smart kid that really I didn't have to worry about over there at right tackle. He was never injured in 2 seasons, and you forget about, again, how important that is when guys just show up every day and do what you tell them.
Sure.
It's like unsung hero, but he's done a great job at right tackle. And then Luke Mattia, he's been our leader on defense for a couple of years now, 3-year captain, all-state, all-conference kid that really plays with a high motor. You could argue there's better athletes out there, but you're happy he's on your team. He's a high motor. He's a little bit of a nasty kid sometimes, but that's what this game is, though, right?
Definitely.
That's our 4 guys.
This was your first year in the GMC.
Correct.
After a very successful run at Little Miami. What did you learn about the league? Because I think on the outside looking in, I think we know it's a great league, it's a deep league. But what did you learn about this league in year 1?
That's interesting. You hear that thrown around a lot. GMC's great and this and that, but I didn't fully understand it until obviously I played in the league for Hamilton back in the day, but you don't really appreciate how good the football is and how well every team is coached. There's no days off. There's no weeks off. If you take a day off, you're going to be behind. Everybody has a great staff. They're all led by great coaches. And it seems like everyone is really attention to detail. They really do a very good job, and it is hands down the toughest league to coach in, because you just got to bring it every week. And I know Colerain's had the success for a long, long time, but I think last year we started to see how close everybody is, and that's a testament to the coaches that are in the league. And I'm proud to say I'm one of those guys, because I think we all think we're pretty capable and pretty good at times, but GMC hands down. I mean, you better take care of every little detail from special teams, offense and defense. It's you can't just outscore people. You can't just hope that your defense is good, and you can't hide a bad special teams. You can't. They catch on, they see it, and to be mentioned with these guys is special, and I'm proud of that.
There's a lot of optimism, obviously, in Hamilton for the 2020 season. And I know some of your guys are already getting a lot of recruiting attention. Tell me, first of all, before we get into your schedule next year and maybe your season outlook, some of the guys who have already received attention from a recruiting perspective.
Yeah. And you're right what you said there. Sometimes you wish you didn't win it so early, because the bar just gets set higher and higher, right? So, yeah, I don't think we can hide this year, but we're excited about that. As far as some of our guys go, we got about 4 guys with some offers already, which is exciting. Coach Mike Dole's been around Hamilton for a long, long time, and he said, we haven't had multiple guys with Division I offers going into their senior year probably since like 2010 or 2011. So we are excited.
first and foremost, I think Keyshawn Stephens kind of is our everything guy. 2 years ago, he ran for 1,300 yards as basically a wildcat quarterback, kind of in a need or a necessity basis, and he got the job done. Last year, we asked him to move to really better our team as a whole. We asked him to play some corner. We asked him to play running back. We asked him to play slot receiver, and he returned kicks and really did a nice job. But he's our leader. He's our alpha male. He takes care of business on both sides of the ball. So Keyshawn's number one. He's got a Liberty offer. He's got a Miami, Ohio offer interest. So he's got a couple things going, and I think the sky's the limit. A ton of schools are interested in him. Next guy, I'll just start in the backfield or stay in the backfield, but Caleb Johnson, he's actually a 2022 running back, but you see him and he walks in the room and you're like, who's that guy? So he's built very well. He's about 6'1", 6'1.5", 195. I joke with him. If I was built like that, I'd be spending my summers by a pool because he looks pretty good, But he's got an Iowa State offer. He's got a Kent State offer. I think Toledo and Akron. So he's got a lot of attention. And again, he can be a special running back as well. Probably needs to play a little bit of defense too. But Darian Bowling he'll be a senior wide receiver. He's got a lot of interest, no offers yet, but excited about him. I think sky's the limit with him because he opens up so many doors academically. He just popped a 26 on his ACT test, which is very impressive. So I think he was second or third in the league in receiving. And we're really fortunate to have him back. He's going to run track this year. He decided not to play baseball, but he's going to focus on track. So I think that'll bode well for him, obviously, in the offseason.
Tell us a little bit about your schedule and maybe how you
I missed a guy.
You did miss a guy, and I didn't know if you want to.
Yeah, Malik Verdon.
Complete that sentence. Go ahead.
Malik Verdon's pretty good, so we're happy to have him. He transferred obviously in from Moeller. A couple of situations there personally going on that, he kind of fell into our lap, and very happy to have him. And I think I need to ask the state of Ohio if they can let us have a couple of footballs during the game, because I don't know how we're going to get the balls to all these guys, but they are good football players. They're going to be asked to find positions on both sides of the ball to help the team, and it seems like they're going to do that, and hopefully it makes us better all the way around.
Tell us a little bit about your 2020 schedule and maybe how you see things kind of shaping up for you guys
Sure.
early on.
It seems that I don't, with a program like ours that's still trying to find our way, right? I think it's very important to get off to a good start. We play West Claremont at home, who finished really strong last year in the ECC, and then we go to Edgewood, who's been very, very good at football for a long time, right? So we need to get off to a good start. I think we all know that's important. But playing home against West Claremont, that'll help being at home, and then going right down the road. It's not a long travel to Edgewood. So we have those two, and then we start the GMC play. But we'd love nothing more than to get off to a good start. I think it's very important. And again, we don't have this tradition of great winning. So it is important to get off to the right foot and win some first games. And we want to be 2-0 going into league play for sure.
Hamilton head football coach Nate Mahan, really appreciate your time and perspective. Best of luck to the Big Blue going forward.
Appreciate it, guys. It's a great day.
Thank
Good to
you
be a
very
part of
much
it.
for coming in.
Yep.
Thanks, Nate.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Up next, we're going to talk to Lakota East head coach Rick Haynes here on the WCPO High School Insider Podcast.
Love seeing Hamilton make its way back into
it's
to the
a great
mix here.
story.
Yeah.
I mean, Nate brought so much success to Little Miami, and I think just the community's really embraced him back at Hamilton, being his alma mater there. There's Coach Haynes. How are you, Rick?
Living a dream.
Good to see you.
Rick Howard.
And obviously talking to Coach Haynes here about the Thunderhawks.
Here's
And
my questions.
You're looking for your questions already. How about that? You didn't even give
Somebody
me
asked me if I got them ahead of time.
Four signees there for the Thunderhawks. And obviously tell us what this day represents to you and your program and these four individuals too.
Well, I think for the four kids, it's just a culmination of a lot of hard work, a lot of time in the weight room, a lot of time getting better, a lot of time going to camps. For us as a program, it's a day to celebrate the success of these four young men. And so we're obviously very excited for them. I think they're going to go on and have great careers.
You've been in this league for a long time, not only at Lakota East. And I'm not trying to date you here, but
That's okay. Go ahead and date me.
You've been in this league for a long time at Colerain as a coordinator there, and now at Lakota East for the last several years. This is an event unlike pretty much any other league in the country. What makes the GMC so special in your eyes?
Well, I think two things. Obviously, I think I've been in the league since 1991. Well, I was at Corey in 91, who got in the league in 97. I think two things. I think the quality of coaching is outstanding, and I think it just gets better every year. And obviously the quality of the players. I mean, you got a lot of, obviously the schools, the student populations are large, and so they have a lot of great talent to draw from. So you got a lot of great players who are being coached by a lot of great coaches.
Tell us a little bit about each one of these guys here, Adam, Evan, Troy, and Gavin, how proud you are of them signing.
Well, I'm very proud of him. Adam, I thought had a heck of a year. He was a 3-year starter for us, just had a great motor, played really hard. I think Southern Illinois is going to be really happy with him. Evan is obviously a big kid who works really, really hard at his craft and wants to be a great player. Troy, I think for us, played a lot of different positions, played down, played outside linebacker, played inside linebacker. He could play tight end. And obviously I'm a UD grad, so I'm very, very happy for them because I think he's going to be a really, really good player. And Gavin is a kicker. Gavin worked all the time. And Gavin had some injuries because he'd kick at practice and then he'd go home and kick 100 balls. And so I think he's going to have a great career also.
5-5 a year ago. Tell us about just the outlook for 2020 and what you're looking forward to the most for next season.
Well, obviously we were disappointed in 5-5, but skill-wise, offensively, we got 5 guys back. We got all our guys back, skill guys offensively. So we're just looking to improve and keep grinding away and just keep getting better every year.
I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about your old friend Carrie Combs, going back to Ohio State. This time as a defensive coordinator. What are your thoughts on Carrie making the move from Nashville back to Columbus? Well,
obviously he's very excited. I saw him last Friday, and I had been in Nashville for the Saints game with him, and so he is obviously ecstatic. I think all his kids are here in town. Well, they were. Braden obviously left to go to Detroit, but Courtney and Dylan both live in Cincinnati. I think 5 or 4 of his 7 grandkids are going to live in Cincinnati. Holly, his wife's from Cincinnati, so obviously being 90 miles away as opposed to 4.5 hours. Is a big deal to Carrie because he's all about family. So obviously we're very, very happy for him, and he's very excited. First time I'd ever seen a guy wearing Ohio State socks to come in and recruit. So that doesn't surprise me though.
I'm sure they're pretty sharp knowing him. What's the outlook for East this year?
Well, I'm more excited. We got a tough schedule. We play our first 3 games are away. And so that's going to be a challenge. But I think
who made that schedule? You or the AD?
I made it. I'll take a bullet for our AD. Richard's a great guy, so this is something that worked out that way. So that's okay. But we scrimmage LaSalle, we scrimmage Moeller, so we'll find out early what we're made of.
Good stuff. Lakota East head coach Rick Haynes, always appreciate your time. Thanks Coach.
Mike.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Keenan.
Congratulations, Rick.
And we're going to be talking to Rick's old friend and district rival now, Tom Bolton here, if he's in the
I did see Tom hanging around somewhere.
Okay. All right.
He did, Tom doesn't need a microphone. He might just stand in front of us and talk and leave the microphone alone.
I can track him down real quick here.
Go ahead.
If you can hold down the fort and be right back.
Yeah. Kind of hanging out here solo over these next couple minutes. Our producer, Brian Neese, putting us on air here, making us look real good. Brian, we appreciate all your efforts throughout the year with the high school podcast. Of course, now we got Tom in the building. Hey, all the energy in the world is now joined us. Like I said, do you even need a microphone for these things? Usually you don't have them.
I won't use one.
Not this year either?
I haven't used one yet. I don't plan on either. So,
what was it like for you last year? You were here, but you were only kind of here in spirit only. You were kind of between jobs.
Yeah,
and what was it like for you last year?
Yeah, it was interesting because obviously, being a part of Coring and just leaving that, it was
right.
It was very delicate. I wanted to be here for those kids. Obviously, I wanted to be here, for the West kids being in that position. But Jeff Waddle, who was the interim coach, did it last year because it would have been more appropriate for him because he knew the kids and things like that. So I got to hang out, which was really nice. And but I didn't get to talk, which I like to do. But I promised them I'll be short and sweet to the point. I'm turning over a new leaf when it comes to these things.
All right, we're here for the 2020 class. Let's hear some about your boys. I think the headliner obviously is David going to UC, but let's hear about the 4 guys signing here today.
Yeah, well, so David Jones going to UC and David Afari going to Miami were part of the early signing process. So that's good to see. I think those kids were. I've mentioned it before in other places and interviews and things like that. I think it's a very mature decision on their part. Not that going far away is bad, but it has to be about a good fit, not only for the kids but for the families. And they have very, very strong ties to their families, as they should. And it was one of those things where they made a decision not only what was best for them, but was best for their families and things like that. So moms and everyone else can come
Gotta
watch
keep
them,
mom happy.
Come watch them play. Absolutely. Yeah. So really, really excited about those two. I think after next year's UC Miami game, I'll have 13 kids that I've coached, whether it be at West or Colerain, that are in those ball games. I think it was 8 at UC and 5 at Miami. So that, in a selfish standpoint, that's pretty cool. So,
yeah, you're keeping those programs who are doing very well, by the way, keeping them well stocked.
Yeah, and that's good to see, and excited for them. And then the other two today, I have one going to Butler, which is Isaac Kolasic, who was actually the team leader in tackles the last 2 years. Set a record at West for the most sacks. He's just that student of the game, that cerebral player who called the D and was a true middle linebacker and knew where the ball was going all the time. So Butler's getting a great one in him. Great kid academically. So I think it's a really good fit for him. And then the other young man is kind of a throwback. Jake Keefer is, I would always tease him. I said he doesn't wow you. I said he's 17, 18-year-old kid with a dad body and things like that. But he can flat out play, and he's kind of that throwback where, on our 3-4, you could put him inside and he could play the nose guard, he could play the tackle, just really quick off the ball, and he was as good. And the pass rushers, he was good defending the run, which can be rare this day and age. So it was. It's really good seeing he's going down to Morehead State. So I think it's a great fit for him. He's got a big old pickup truck and he wears his boots and he's
going to fit in down in Rowan County down there in Kentucky.
Yes, he will. So when you talk about fits, these are really good fits for those other two young men, these four men. So really, really proud of them. As good as kids or better kids than they are football players.
I was confident the conversation wasn't going to come to a standstill when I stepped out real quick there. But sorry if I missed anything here. But hey, you signed at Home and Home with St. X.
Yeah.
For 21 and 22,
that?
and I'd like to talk about that because I just was released last week.
You know how it is. I finally got Steve to stop ducking me. I know he mentioned that in you know what I mean? I thought, I could hear that, when I left Colerain, I heard this big, huge sigh of relief coming from over on North Bend Road over that way. So, no, we had always talked about it. We did a scrimmage last year. We're doing one again this year. We like compete, from the selfish coaching aspect. We like competing against each other as coaches. It was always a great rivalry with Colerain. It'll continue to be that, and hopefully it's as healthy and as great a rivalry, Lakota West versus St. X. So I'm sure it will be. I'm sure there'll be some white visors being thrown, hopefully all from the St. X sidelines.
Just looking ahead a little bit, Tom, I still remember being there at the pit, your first round playoff game, obviously not the way that you wanted it to turn out for the Firebirds.
Yeah,
but there
with
was
all
a
the babies. Yeah.
sense of confidence really going forward and promise for the future. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, well, think about it. I'm thinking about it all that week. I didn't tell the kids because, they were too young to know any better. But, we rolled into the pit, first round of a playoff game at the pit, tough place to play against a great football team. And we started 5 sophomores and a freshman. And 3 sophomores were on the O-line and a freshman at quarterback. And we competed, you know what I mean? We just got some very, very bad breaks, but the kids never quit, never rolled over and battled. They were just a better football team than us. I mean, you tip your hat to them, but we did some things and think about it. We had won 4 games the previous 2 years. We win 7 and we're right there to take that next step. And I'm thinking we're definitely going to do that.
What did you learn most from that season that you were moving to Westchester and everything like that? And certainly you had time to get adjusted to everything, but now you got to be in the second off season. It's going to be different.
There's some things that you kind of, you take for granted with them, like in terms of in-game adjustments, how you watch film, things like that. We totally had to revamp all that with them. On a positive note, I'd always have people telling me, "Oh, you can't go coach those Lakota West kids like you can those Colerain kids," but I went and did it, went in guns blazing, and they responded to it really well. And I think we'll have an even better response going into year 2. So those were the 2 main things that stuck with me after the season.
One of your offensive linemen, Tegra Shabola, has been getting a ton of recruiting attention, a lot of scholarship offers. Tell us about his offseason, where he stands.
His best football's ahead of him. He's really just kind of a big kid. He turned 16th. He's turned 16 on, I think it was the 24th of this month, so he just turned 16. He's 6'6", 300 pounds. He's playing some basketball just to, help with his feet and things like that. I mean, his first offer was Ohio State. His second offer was Florida. His third offer was LSU, and then they keep rolling in.
The New Orleans Saints.
So he's in a pretty good spot, and he's a great kid. He's not wrapped up in the process and things like that, but unfortunately kids can get wrapped up in, and I'll keep him grounded with that. But I don't think he realizes how good he can be. He's big, he's athletic, and as he learns the game more and more, he will be a one heck of a football player, no question.
What about some of your other guys, including Mitch?
Yeah.
Obviously, Alex Afari, Aiden Miller.
Alex is a kid getting a lot of attention now. Just picked up some offers here recently, some D1 offers within the last month. He's a 6'2.5", 195-pound corner who's really long and plays wide receiver, and he definitely passes the eyeball test. He currently leads the GMC in rebounding. As a sophomore at 6'2.5", and so he's really athletic. He can run, he can jump, he can do all that stuff. Great hands. So he'll be a force to be reckoned with. And then we've got Aiden Miller who played a lot of running back for us last year, who's another sophomore, who's another young 15-year-old kid who's 5'11", 202 pounds, and runs behind his pads really well. And we have another kid, Josh Lacusa, who's uncles to Kembe Mutombo, and he's already plays basketball, but he's also 6'6", 210-pound outside linebacker right now, who in our 3-4, he'll probably still stand up at the next level. He'll be down, so as soon as he puts some more weight on, he'll be something. And we've got 2 other big sophomore linemen, and then we got a lot back on defense. We had a young man by the name of Jackson Kuwatch, who was at Marymount the year before, who's 6'3", almost 6'4". I played high school ball with his dad. He's put on 20 pounds since the season's over, so he's about 225, and he'll be the other outside. So we're going to definitely look the part like they always have, but we're going to play the part as well. And I think Mitchell, as soon as he gets through basketball and baseball season, we continue to throw every weekend, and I think he'll get better and better. And I think he can run it, he can throw it, and obviously some of these kids in this room can tell you how tough he is, because they tried to take his head off quite a few times, and he kept getting back up. So looking for big things from him.
Each time you rattle off height and weight, I'm looking at you, Tom, but I glance over at Keenan and see some eyebrows.
It's crazy that they're so young and so good. I mean, it's amazing how these kids look.
Yeah, so let me ask you this before we let you go here. It's been 20 years now since a certain school that you used to coach at hasn't won the title here. Does it stick at your craw a little bit, or what are we thinking about?
Well, it's going to get real interesting. I'm proud of them. I was so proud of them this year. I'm so proud of what Sean was able to do, that coaching job. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal amongst all that was going on. And but think about it, big win streak, and was able to be a part of that. But now I get to be the one come week 3. That's the first GMC game. We're at Colerain week 3, so first league play game, we're there. So looking to snap that streak. So nothing personal, just business, I'm going to tell them.
The matchup could have happened in the playoffs. It was supposed to happen in the playoffs.
Yes, it really was.
But now it'll have to wait till week 3. Tom, always appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. No, I appreciate
sport.
you guys for doing this. This is awesome, and all you guys do for the high school sports in the area. I appreciate it. Thank you guys very much.
Best of luck to the Firebirds.
Good man. Thank you guys.
Dakota West Head football coach Tom Bolden. We're going to be talking to Middletown head football coach Don Simpson here up next on the WCPO High School Insider Podcast.
Thanks, Tom. He just reloads no matter where he is, right?
It really is. It's really the truth. Such great insight from these coaches too. I mean, just good stuff all the way around here, Keenan.
The amount of not only talent on the field, but the talent on the sidelines is.
I think we just take it for granted. I mean, I've been
really
covering
do.
high school football for a long time here in the city, but I think when you get outside Southwest Ohio, you realize how blessed we are with the amount of talented players and the coaches, as you mentioned.
Here comes Don right now.
All right. And Mitty's head football coach, Don Simpson, kind enough to join us here on the High School Insider podcast. Don, how are you?
Got slight purple tint to his tie here to represent.
Always got to represent the purple.
Well, tell us what National Signing Day means to the Middies, and tell us about some of your signees today.
It's a great day for our guys to get the opportunity to play at that next level. They're really trying to build this program back up to where we were, prior when we were having multiple guys going to Power 5 Division I schools, So you got to crawl first, but we're doing a really good job of getting guys in school, giving them an opportunity to play at the next level. So today we have Shaq Fall. He's going to be signing. He's going to Eastern Kentucky University. Shaq was one who garnered a lot of attention from the D1 schools just on his potential. He passed that eye test. He looked the part, and then how the coaching carousel goes. A couple of schools that was very interested in coaches moved on, got other opportunities. Some was released, and then all of a sudden we were kind of in limbo here. But Eastern Kentucky stayed consistent with him. They brought him down on campus. They showed him love. He enjoyed the campus. He enjoyed the players on the team. So that's where he'll be going off to play ball. And then we also have Kylan Mcgill. Kylan played corner for us. And Kylan was a first-year starter at corner for us. And Kylan went out there, and he's a really good kid. He's a guy his best football is still yet to come. So he's one of those ones who his upside is there. He's a big academic kid, big character kid. He's going to be going to Urbana University. They're excited about him. Good height, 6'1", 170-pound corner, can run. He's a track guy. So they're really looking forward to that with him.
Urbana was pretty much the amount of signees that they have here in the GMC today. They must have been at every GMC game every week of the season. What's the connection, the pipeline like to Urbana for all you programs here in the GMC?
I think the good thing about us with Urbana this year, they're graduating 2 middies. Both of those guys, Najee Davenport and Chris Richardson, played for Middletown, went to Urbana 4 years, graduated, got their degrees, doing successful things. So when you see that and you have that example in front of your kids, you're like, these are guys who are coming from where you were, and they went to this university and they had success. They got to play football at a high level. Chris Richardson is getting some attention by some NFL workouts. So that's a great connection when they can see people that they know went there. And also, it's not too far away, but it's just far away enough that, a kid from Middletown, small little city, sometimes you don't want to get too far away. That homesick feeling hit and you can't get back there. But Urbana's just far away enough that they can go away, miss home, and when they want to get back, they can get back there. So I think it's been a great pipeline for us. This will be our, since I've been there, this will be our 4th kid we're sending to Urbana in 2 years.
Your record in the 2019 season not indicative of, the optimism that's here for the 2020 season. I know your athletic director, J.D. Faust, is kind of reminding me that a lot of the recruiting attention some of your guys have been receiving. So tell us about some of those guys, Cameron Jr. Being one of them and Josh Bryant being the other.
Yes, year one when I came in, remember we talked and I said how young we were and how young we were going to be because we had to start from scratch. And I think the thing of building this program up is going to be consistency. We had to have it, so we had to start doing things the way we wanted to see them done, doing them the right way. So we played a lot of young guys, and we knew it going into it, a very competitive conference like the GMC. You don't want to get caught out there with a lot of sophomores and juniors with no experience on that field. But we were in that predicament, and we knew it. We had to just weather the storm, trust the process, know that what we're doing is the right thing. So we come to the point where now those guys who we talked about being very young on a GMC stage are now entering into their senior year. And they have 2 years under their belt, and now they're starting to garnish attention from Power 5 Division I schools, a lot of schools coming through. Last time we talked about the potential of Josh Bryant, what he could be. And we kind of saw it in this second year, this junior year. he stayed consistent. He was an electric runner. He first time in over 20 years Middletown has had back-to-back 1,000-yard rushers, and we haven't been that great up front. So a lot of Josh Bryant's runs have been dynamic runs just on him making the first guy miss, breaking the first tackle, and breaking big runs. So we're excited about him coming into his third year as a starter, coming back with our offense, and then the emergence of Cameron Jr. came out of nowhere. This young man, his jump from his sophomore to his junior year was unbelievable. Cameron played as a sophomore. He was one of those young sophomores that was on the field that we were taking our lumps for. But as a junior, this guy became a man. And he was on the field. You watch his film, he pops you. He's one of those guys. He'll be a Power 5 guy. He has that pedigree within him. And he really raises the level of play of all his teammates. He stepped up for us. We had a mound of injuries on our defense where Cameron was our outside linebacker doing a great job really shutting down the side of the field for us. And then we lost both of our inside linebackers. He went to inside linebacker. He called the defense. He set the front. So with a guy like that coming back with 3 years experience under his belt, and there's multiple guys that's in that 21 class who are a part of that 19 year where we were like, we're young, we're taking these lumps, so this year is the year that we really believe that we step up and we become very competitive, and some ball starts bouncing our way a little bit this year.
And I think that just starts with the season opener. Middletown hosts Moeller in week 1, a 1-year deal there at Barnett Stadium, and talk about that significance within your program.
Yes, that's what we set out to be. We said we want to ultimately be the type of program that wants to play the best of the best. We don't want to schedule someone like, hey, let's get these easy wins before we start GMC. No, we want to go out and we want to find out who's the best. We want to line up against them. So the way scheduling worked out, we end up having an opening in the 20 season. And we were like, when we get a 1-year contract, who can we find? And we put it out there, and they responded. And I instantly was like, let's do it. This is what you signed up for. This is what you want to coach Division I football in Southwest Ohio. You want that type of game. They're, no matter what their record was any previous year, they're Moeller. They're going to have dudes out there, and they're going to be a very well-coached team. And it's going to be an exciting thing. I laugh about it because my first time ever seeing Middletown actually play in a game, this 2009, and they were playing Moeller in the playoffs at Laughlin. And I sat there and watched that game, and I'm like, I was so impressed with Middletown. I was like, you know what? That become a head coach, that's the type of team you want right there. And then here we sit here 11 years later, and I'm the head coach of Middletown, and we're going to take on Moeller. But we're excited about the opportunity, the exposure our young men are going against that caliber of play. We already play in one of the toughest Division I conferences in the state, so we're used to it. And I like to breed them to always want that competition day in and day out. We always say we'll play the best. So our non-conference schedule will be just as tough as our entire 8-game in-league schedule.
Before we let you go here, not everyone will be here today because some guys have signed early, but which player signing here today are you most happy to see going out of the league?
I don't know. I said there's so many of those guys that I'm glad to see. I'm just that's a good one right there. I think the big one was Jutan. That guy was lights out. Yeah. The moment you thought you had him, all he needed was just a sliver of daylight, and he just took off. I just finished watching that game a couple days ago, just sitting back, going through notes, and I'm like, we had him. Then he's gone. So to know that a guy like that is no longer going to be in the backfield for those guys, that's a kind of a breath of fresh air for us.
Great insight from Middletown head football coach Don Simpson. Coach, thanks for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Best of luck to the middies.
Don, congratulations. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And we're going to be talking to Oak Hill's coach Justin Roden here in a little bit. Keenan, I know you want to say hi to a few people, so you're going to maybe step out first.
Oh, yeah. I'll be right back here, Mike. Yeah.
Say hi to a few people in the hallway.
Mike's kicking me off the podcast.
No, you said you wanted to. We'll see if we can get Coach Roden, too, if you see him. There you go. And we're going to talk to Oak Hill's head coach Justin Roden here just a little bit, starting his first season there with the Highlanders. After being an assistant coach, he was coaching in Indiana for quite some time. Obviously led East Central to a 4A state championship a couple of years ago, and most recently was at Noblesville High School. And he succeeds former head coach Kyle Prosser there at Oak Hills. And Oak Hills has 3 college signees today. Ryan Heulemeyer, DJ Shaw, and Sebastian Bachler. Ryan and DJ are going to Lake Erie College, and Sebastian is going to Hocking College. And looking forward to talking to Coach Roden here just in a few minutes. As always, this WCPO High School Insider podcast is presented by our local Chick-fil-A restaurants, where the winning play is free chicken in February when you download or log in to the Chick-fil-A app. And we want to thank Chick-fil-A for all their support, not only for this podcast, but throughout the high school football season this past fall. If you missed any of our episodes, be sure to check out on WCPO.com. Welcome in Coach Roden here to the WCPO High School Insider podcast. Coach, how are you?
Good, brother.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Well, hey, obviously taking over the Oak Hills program. We're going to be talking a little bit about the Highlanders a little more in detail right now, but Oak Hills has 3 college signees today, and wanted to see if you could talk about the significance of those accomplishments for those 3 guys in your program as well.
Yeah, it's it's one of those situations where you want to make sure you quickly learn who those kids are, and you get a chance to speak about kids that didn't play for you. It can become a little bit I don't say awkward, but I want to make sure that they get the attention and the recognition that they deserve. So in a case of particularly Ryan and DJ, both those kids were two-way players, decimated by injuries. So maybe in other programs they would have been on one side of the ball, but both of them did an outstanding job. Both physical kids. DJ was a 300-pound bench press kid. So and Ryan was a team captain. So they're both kids that were 3-year starters. So they've done a great job. They've maybe not might have had the recognition in regard to wins on Fridays, and sometimes it's unfortunate that kids that have a great deal of talent might not necessarily get the accolades off the field just because as a team didn't succeed in a way in the win column. But both those guys are going to be going to Lake Erie, and the fact they're going together, I think, is kind of unique too. I told them to make sure they have a good jacket. I mean, I don't know how many times
it is cold, yes,
how many times they visit up that direction, but I'm excited for both of them, and the opportunities that I've had to see them in the hallway and see them in the weight room. They're both pretty committed to being successful at that next level. And then in the case of Sebastian, he's coming off a knee injury. He's still kind of hobbling around a little bit, but he's doing a great job with the rehab process, and he's going to go to Hocking College and work on grades and work on getting healthy, and then see what doors open, from that point. But we had a signing this morning at school. Parents are there, smiling, happy, great deal of pride for them. So, in a season where there's a new coach again, and coming here at the back half, and and not winning the football games, it was good to see them smiling, have some excitement about moving on to that next level. So I'm very proud of them today, and hopefully when I get a chance up there to mention a few words, I don't fumble around with it here a little bit. I've been trying to make sure I don't confuse who is who, and usually for me, I recognize a jersey number.
Sure.
I've been watching some film, and so I don't so much know the names as well as I probably should, but I'm very proud of both of them, and excited to get on board here in the conference. And today's fun for me. I get to go back over there and talk to some guys I haven't seen in a long time, and guys I coach with, and guys I played for Rick. So it's all good deal today. I had a lot of fun.
Great. Before we kind of get into the nuts and bolts maybe of the program, how things are going in the weight room, and just players to watch for next season. I mean, what's been the reception from the Oak Hills community and the athletics department, and just all around school since you've assumed the position?
Well, one of the big reasons for taking the position is that I have some familiarity with the school itself. Spending 3 years there. My first house with my wife was over in Cheviot, so about 10 minutes away from the school. When I coached there for 3 years before, I have a relationship with Coach Price, the basketball coach. Excuse me.
It's okay.
Should turn that bad boy off.
That's okay.
No, but the fact that I know a lot of the teachers, there's already established relationships, so it makes it pretty easy to transition there. Mr. Brandt was the principal when I was there before, so when he was calling me about the job, and if I need something, it's a pretty smooth operation. I'm not trying to get a feel for who so I kind of know the people that are pushing the right buttons. Now Ben, he's new to that position, but he's been at the school a long time, so Ben is trying to make things right. I think that's the most important thing. Kyle, I worked with Kyle for a year at Mount St. Joe, or his brother played for me. His brother lives down the street from me in Hidden Valley. So I'm very respectful of, when I come in here of not being negative. And it's easy to do that when you take a job and, the wins aren't there and some people are pointing some fingers. But I think more than anything, and people know this, I'm just going to do things the right way and in the way that Justin Roden wants to do that. And like any situation where we've had a number of coaches. I mean, I think 4 or 5 coaches in a very short window of time. So people have heard the spiel. It's a new coach, so there's a little bit of from the community like, okay, here comes another guy. He's going to give us the same spiel, and so understandably so, there's some hesitation on being all in, which is fine. I'm okay with that. I think for us, as I tell the kids in the weight room, we're just trying to earn some respect. I think more than anything else, we're not going to go around and call people out. We're not going to say we're going to do this. We just got to start from the beginning and start just doing things in a way that, brings some pride back to the school. And as I told us in the interview process, and I kind of say it everywhere I go, I think win or lose on Friday as a football program, I want people in the community to be proud of how we play. So we're going to try to be physical. We're going to try to be tough, and even in defeat, that when the people leave, they're going to take pride in how we played, and whether that's running off and on the field the way we're supposed to, whether that's making sure our chin straps buckled, and just the little things that matter to me that I want to matter to them. So I'm excited, and I've got some good young coaches that I've added, and I think that the staff is going to add to some of that energy and positive energy moving forward.
Can you give us a little bit of an outlook, maybe some names to watch and your schedule as well for next season?
Well, our schedule is very similar. I think the first thing that I didn't know this. Our first game is against East Central. I was at East Central when I talked to Kyle originally about putting together a 2-year deal. I wasn't aware of the fact that they had kind of extended the contract, so I was thinking they had moved forward, and then somewhere after I'd signed my name, they informed me that our first game would be East Central coming to our place. So my kids are both still at East Central. My daughter's a senior, son's a freshman playing soccer. So it's a weird deal. My son wanted me to know that he's going to be on the East Central side, even though he loves me.
Oh, that's great.
So week 1 obviously has a little bit of significance, and not so much. I mean, to be honest with you, I could care less. I just want to win, and so there's just going to be a lot of emotion that first game, and it's still hard to. We break it out to BDC on 2, and it just there's a weird vibe to that to me, and then we come back and play Simon Kent in week 2, and then dive into the league, and as I made the not really a joke, but the conference coaches are outstanding. I mean, it gets better and it's better and it's better, and so I can't sit here. And maybe a few years ago, the first time around, you could point to a game and say, "Hey, we can outcoach this guy, or we can find a way to win just by being a little bit smarter in the film room." That's not going to happen. There's too many good coaches at every school, and as you see today, it's loaded with outstanding players. So I think, rather than sit here and run off a bunch of names for you, I would just tell you that we don't have. I mean, the college has come through, and Chuck Martin walked in last week, and I smiled at him, and I just asked him what he was doing here, and he said, we're trying to establish roots, and I said, well, I don't have any goodies for you right now. I said, give me a year, and we'll talk about some of the kids that are worthy of playing at that level. And I think honestly, that's for us. That's something again we're trying to build upon that respect factor, and I've tried to tell the kids that individual accolades will come when we win, and we do start doing things a little bit differently. So for us, the excitement is the new offensive coaches. I mean, so we've got Robert Klotz, who spent the last 5 years over at St. X with Steve, working with Coach Coverdale, and he's kind of honestly, I've got to bring him back down a little bit. He's a mad scientist and sending me clips that Coach Coverdale is sending him. And then we hired Tyler Elrod back from LaSalle, who is my DC, who's spent the last 2 years with my brother coaching some fantastic players. I had to remind him that we don't quite have the same athletes that the Lancers do. And then David Dransman is going to be my right-hand man. David was played for me at Coleraine. He's been a defense coordinator. He's been a Oak Hills for a while now. So it's interesting because all three kids at some point in time have played for me. Robert was at Oak Hills when I was there the first time. I yelled at Elrod when I was coaching him in the second at Mount St. Joe. And Drans when I used to, rip all the time when he was a 5-flat 40 kid at Coleraine back in the day. So it's fun to have three really ambitious young coaches that they want to see it done the right way, but also, have that energy and I have a good deal of respect for. So that's the part that's fun for me. We got a group that wants to do things right, and the schedule makes you nervous because there's no easy games on it, but it should be fun coaching this conference again.
Right. Well, I look forward to working with you more directly too. So Oak Hills head football coach Justin Roden, really appreciate your time. Best of luck to the Highlanders.
Appreciate it, man. See you.
Thanks, Justin.
Thank you.
Up next, we're going to have Sycamore coach Scott Datillo talking about the Aviators. Right here on the WCPO High School Insider Podcast. See him chatting with Keenan.
I'm getting them warmed up.
There you go. Scott, how are you? Good to see you, as always.
I'm great, Mike. Good to see you.
Thanks for joining us. And talking some Aviators football here. National Signing Day. And I guess, first of all, what does you have 4 signees here on the GMC list. What does signing day represent to you and your program?
I mean, it's just a culmination of a lot of things, to be honest. The athletic achievements for starters, everybody here is a tremendous athlete. It also reflects the academic success that they've had. And also, the maturity throughout the years of, watching and coaching these guys when they were freshmen and, seeing them work their way through their successes, their struggles, personal issues, and for it to all come to a head on a day like today is exciting for them, their family, and certainly me as a coach.
Had a great time talking to some of your guys throughout the season, and we had a preseason podcast at Kenwood Town Center, and I remember talking to Jordan McConnell and Apollo Ford among some other players, but I see they're obviously signing today. Can you talk about those two guys and also your other two Urbana commits as well?
Yeah, no, Jordan McConnell's going to Tiffin. They're getting an incredible playmaker. A kid who's matured on and off the field immensely over the last 2 years, and I'm really, really proud of him. He's a playmaker. He's going to do the right things. He's going to work real hard, and he's going to make an impact quickly. I have a feeling up there with his playmaking ability, and Apollo is the same. And, he's just a football player. That's my best description for him. He's got those intangibles that come with playing defense. He's not the biggest kid in the world, but, what he lacks in size, he makes up for in instinct and speed and aggressiveness and heart. And, the next jump will be easy for him because he's got all those inherent qualities that it takes to move on to the next level. And the Fisher boys, Markel and Marquise, Kel had a great year as an outside receiver, new to that position. And, was a big presence on the outside, allowed us to push the ball down the field. And his upside is tremendous. He's a great track runner as well. You'll be seeing that in the spring here. And Marquise was injury riddled, to be perfectly honest. We didn't get a chance to really see him the way we thought we could see him. He had injuries during the preseason camp, and when he got healthy and was, right as he was working his way back into things, he got injured again. So I feel bad for him, but he's going to get a second chance at the football life, so to speak, as he moves on to Urbana.
Tell us how the offseason has been for the Aviators.
It's been tremendous. This group that we have coming up has been, they've been able to see as young players, the success and what that's like from our 15 and 16 team or 16 and 17 teams, and also seeing how close we've been the last 2 years. 2 years ago playing in a do or die game week 10 to get in, and last year, we had 3 losses by a touchdown and end up missing by, some week 10 things that were out of our control. So, it was unfortunate, but they're hungry, and they're hungry to get back to that upper part of the league and hopefully week 11.
Off microphone just a couple of minutes ago, we were talking about the talent of the league, and your synopsis of it is it's as good as it's ever been in your time here. How would you describe it to years past?
It's just this year was the league was just really deep. I mean, there wasn't a team in our league that you would say, they kind of lack some guys or they lack this. I mean, everybody had it on a given night. From the top team to the bottom team, it's as good as I personally remember. Where every night you look at the scores, not just of our games, but of the other games, and they're all competitive games that are a score or a possession or whatever. And citywide, it was like that. You could see by the records of the teams that got into playoffs. It wasn't like there was a laundry list of 10-0s and 9-1s where there was a top-heavy year. I mean, it was teams beating each other up. And, unfortunately, we were a game away. But, we had some exciting moments as well.
Tell us a little bit about your 2020 schedule and maybe how things are looking as you look towards spring and summer.
Yeah, it's always a challenge. You play 8 GMC games regardless of what you have in the first 2. I mean, 8 out of 10 is going to be really tough. The talent, as we alluded to, was prevalent in this class, but also prevalent in classes that we're going to see again. So I'm anticipating the league to be really strong again. The coaching's outstanding, and it's only getting better. So we'll see. And out of league, we open up with Loveland and play Kings again, who, was in our same boat as we were last year, playing Week 10 to get in. So that'll be a tough game.
Good stuff, as always. Appreciate it. Sycamore head football coach Scott Datillo. Best of luck to the Aviators going forward.
Absolutely. Thanks guys.
Scott.
Appreciate all you guys do.
Thank you, sir. Up next, we're going to be talking to Mason coach Brian Kastner. If he's
I saw him down there. Yeah,
see him walking around here.
Wrangle him down.
Minutes ago. Is he way over there on the other
side
of the room?
Yeah, I can go get him real quick.
Keenan's going to do it. And I want to remind everybody, it's WCPO High School Insider Podcast presented by our local Chick-fil-A restaurants, where the winning play is free chicken in February when you download or log in to the Chick-fil-A app.
Speaking of Chick-fil-A, I like these kind of tying it into what we're doing here. As Brian walks down here,
there we go.
He must have been eating a lot of the char-grilled, kind of sandwiches. None of the fried stuff. Look how much weight this guy has cut of late, man. He's looking real good.
How are you?
Good.
I'll let Keenan ask the first questions.
Well, Brian, first of all, thanks for being here. It's good to see you, as always, here at this celebration of GMC football and, of course, football for the Comets. Let's ask about this class that you got going that's making their signings today.
Real excited about the class. It starts with Jack Hagledge heading to Naval Academy, and it just kind of works its way down the divisions all the way to Colin Brown, who is our quarterback that's going to go to Wittenberg and play for Coach Fincham. It's a great class. I'm very, very proud of them because we had a lot of adversity this year, and we were able to fight back and get back to 5-5 at the end of the year and make it to the playoffs. So they learned a lot. I learned a lot. One of the more prideful years for me as a head coach, but even a coach here, 27 years in the city, I've really took a lot from this season.
It's saying a lot, obviously. I mean, you talk about that perseverance. We've had conversations about that start and how your guys really rallied together and obviously made the playoffs and, really hung in there with St. X there in that first round game.
Right. Yeah, we were 0-3, so everybody was kind of looking around, trying to see what the answer was, and trying to figure out what these players wanted to take with this season, and specifically this senior class. They put their hands on the table and they said, just stick to the plan. The coaches put the hands on the table, said, stick to the plan, and 7-8 games later, we're at Balaban Stadium, or whatever, St. X Stadium, and we're up 21-7 against the Balmers, and man, we're feeling pretty good. So,
tell us a little bit about this offseason, Brian. And
off-season's been great. We're in phase 1, and January we've had about 55, 60 kids in there training hard, and then we got another 30 or so that are in a winter sport or getting ready for a spring sport. So our numbers are good, but it's always about quality, not quantity, I guess. Everybody wants a lot of numbers, but I'm a big believer in quality, and I think we got some good players that are coming back that are fighting to prove themselves, be that next leader, find out, how they want to accept challenges over this next month because we go into mornings at 5:30 a.m. here in March and April, and we see what they want to sacrifice. And they always look forward to those morning workouts because we have some fun with those. So it'll be interesting how it all shakes out going into the summer. But these kids are working hard.
Before we let you go, give us a little synopsis of your schedule and how things are looking for.
Well, we
top players.
we scrimmage with X and Princeton, and then we go into our season. We've got Kings at Kings, and then we have Centerville at Centerville. So we're on the road, little road warriors. And then week 3 opens up GMC play. So at that point, it's, new record, new year, and we'll see what happens. But we're excited. We're excited. The kids are working hard.
Speaking of excited, before we let you go, I asked this to Don Simpson. I'm asking you this as well. Which kid, they may not be here today because they signed early, which kid are you most excited to see out of the league?
There's a couple of them. I'd hate to pick on one, but I'm sure seeing Jutan go.
Yeah, that was Don's answer as well.
Yeah, that's a good one. And Princeton has a couple. So I think that would be it. But, Deshaun Pace, I think he's here, right?
Yeah.
Is he
Yeah,
here?
he should be here.
Yeah. So he would be another stud.
A lot of impact players in this conference, no doubt.
Yeah.
Mason head football coach Brian Kastner, appreciate your time
Mike,
as always.
thank you guys.
Thank
You
you.
guys
Brian,
do
good
an
to
awesome job. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
very much. And we'll see if we can talk to Colerain coach Sean Cutright. Have you seen Sean?
I've seen
Okay.
Sean walk in. Yeah,
I know the
he's
program's
walking
gonna
in
start
big
here.
and bad with the. Yeah, if you got Cutright, that'd be great. Yeah, I saw him walk in with the big bad Cardinal helmet.
We'll start the program here in just a few minutes, I think.
Yeah, we're about 12:40 right now.
See if we can get.
We're right on time, actually.
Here we
Mike.
are.
Look at you.
I see
Keeping
Deshaun
us-
Pace walking
Keeps
up
on
there.
the straight and
There you
narrow.
go.
Yeah. Sean, of course, is just wrapped up year 1 at Colerain, a year that I think a lot of people expected maybe this league would open up and we wouldn't see a 20th straight title out of the Cardinals. But lo and behold, Sean stepped in. Not only
There
did he
he is.
win this thing, he went undefeated in this league once again. So kudos to Sean as he sits down with us right
Sean,
now.
how are you?
Mike,
Good to see you.
Mike. Hey, Sean, how are you?
Great.
Kind of go ahead, Keenan. You got the
Yeah.
momentum there with that discussion about Colerain.
Yeah, I think, Sean, before you walked over here, we were speaking about how a lot of people may have expected with the new coaching staff and all the things that you had to change coming into year 1 that maybe Colerain would take a step back. And that wasn't the case at all. You guys ran through the league once again, undefeated, now 20 straight GMC titles, got a couple of guys signing today. Now, as the head man here at this ceremony, what's this day like for you?
This is one of those days you're very happy and proud to be a head coach. You look out there and you see how really good and the type of players that we have in our conference. And it makes you appreciate the wins that you're able to get during the year. We had 27 seniors that stepped up, did a great job for us this year, and couldn't be more proud of them. These other guys, this is a day they'll never forget. So it's great to be a part of it.
Had so many conversations, obviously, about Deshaun and Ace over the season, and you're kind enough to join us on the podcast. But tell us, Deshaun Pace, Elijah Ford, both signing at their respective programs today, what they've meant to the program this past year.
Yeah, I'll start with Deshaun. He's the whole Pace family's come through there, and they really did about as much as they could at the high school level. And Ivan moved on last year after being a player of the year and did great things at Miami. And I expected Deshaun to do the same thing at the University of Cincinnati. Deshaun's one of those guys, he's going to make plays for you. One of those that you have to have on the field as much as possible. So we run him out there, special teams, offense, defense, and he made enough plays for us to, have a successful year. As far as Elijah goes, he switched from his junior year, started as tight end, moved outside linebacker his senior year, had a really good year. He's got good length, good in space. Played out there, did a great job for us, and looking for big things from him from Eastern Kentucky.
Tell us about your off season, how things are going in the weight room, and just maybe kind of a summary of your schedule for next season as well.
Sure. Yeah, we're doing well in the weight room. Tyler's in there. He really loves that since that's his field of business, and he's doing a great job with those guys. We have more, which is probably good. We have more people in wrestling and more people in basketball than usual. We have about 22 to 25 kids that are doing that this year. So they're working hard, doing a great job in the weight room. And as far as the schedule goes, we're going to do a Wayne home game for week 1. Then we'll play those Bombers week 2. And then I listened in on Tom's stats and how big and strong. And when I walked in here, I said, now listen, I don't have any of these stats or anything. I said, I'm a little scared now about, I think it's, give or take 219 days till we play that game. And we'll have to see if we can get some guys a little stronger.
219, that sounds pretty exact. That doesn't sound like a number you just pulled out of the air.
Oh, no doubt. But, yeah, we look forward to it. I love coaching with him, and I can't thank him enough for everything he taught me when I was at Coleraine and under him. And he's doing great things there at West. So I'm sure it's going to be a battle week 3.
Before we let you go, who are some guys that we should be watching? There's some familiar names, obviously, returning next season, but who are some guys that have really stepped up for you this offseason?
Yeah, I brought a couple of them today. We try to bring those juniors, and that was something that Tom instilled in us. Bring those guys, let them see how the day goes, and look forward to next year when it's their turn to step up and do that. Dante Corleone, he's going to be pretty big. He dominated that line of scrimmage for us last year, and we look for some big things from him this year. We got a couple linebackers, Michael Bess and our boy Xander Kendall. They're both coming back. Michael suffered that knee injury, but anymore it's sort of like a sprained ankle or something. The ACL comes back better than ever. So those guys are having a good off season. And Freddie, our quarterback, will be back, and our slot guy. He was just telling me he was ready to play some DB in the van coming over here. I said, well, don't get too crazy there. We're going to have to slow down a little bit on that. And then we have a couple good corners coming back. Sean Williamson will be one of the guys that will be leading the secondary this year for us. So we're looking forward to it.
Coleraine head football coach Sean Cutright, really appreciate your time as always, and best of luck to the Cardinals going forward.
Thanks, Mike Keenan. This is great.
Appreciate it, Sean.
Sean, great to see you.
Great to see you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. And that will conclude our WCPO High School Insider podcast. Keenan, any final thoughts here on this day?
Just another great year to be a part of something like this. Not only are these kids great football players, but they're great young men, great representatives of not only their high schools, but their community in our city. So it's great to see them get their respect, their just due today, to see them conclude their high school careers and be able to go on to college and represent all these great programs here in the GMC.
Great stuff. And want to thank again Chick-fil-A for having us out here and sponsoring this podcast and the Sharonville Convention Center and also the Greater Miami Conference. For our producer, Brian Neese, for Keenan Singleton, I'm Mike Dyer. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we will talk to you next week.